the Modi 2 Uber. That's right, we got some real shit today. That's right. The Modi 2 Uber is a DAC. And for those of you who don't know, a DAC is a digital to analog converter. And what this does is it essentially transforms your digital files into an analog waveform that can be heard by the human ear, right? So there are a bunch of types of DACs out there. Let me explain. Even you need a DAC to be able to hear sound coming from a digital source, right? So this can be anything. It could be a smartphone, it can be speakers, it can be headphones, it could be car audio. Any type of sound that is coming from a digital device needs a DAC to be able to convert it to analog, right? Smartphones have DACs in them, but the DACs in them are absolutely like basic. They just work. Nothing more. They don't sound fantastic. They just work. They are weak and sound very thin, especially when you're using them with headphones that require a larger amount of power. Same goes with computers, with the motherboard's audio in it. In the majority of cases, it's very, very bad. Please do not use onboard audio on a computer. Please, on a smartphone, only use the DAC in your smartphone if you have a low impedance headphone, like 32 ohms or less, or some, earbuds or IEMs. That's the only reason why you should ever use your phone's DAC. Never use Sennheiser HD600s or LCD-2Cs on a smartphone, because although they will produce sound, you will be able to hear sound from them. It's not going to be a very good sound, and you're definitely not getting your money's worth out of the headphones. So, especially if you're on a computer on a, sit down setup, buy a DAC. Anyway, this is the Modi 2 Uber right here. This is an offering by Schiit. When it came out, it was offered for $150 just because it was a little better than the standard Modi 2. Now they're at the Modi 3, but the Modi 2 Uber still holds its own and is still being sold by Schiit on Amazon for $90, which I could say is a decent value. I'd say it's a pretty decent value. Let me explain what this does. This particular DAC right here, the 2 Uber, it has 3 different types of inputs, right? It's got USB, which is this USB type B connection right here. It has SPDIF, or optical, which is light, fiber optic. And this is mostly for, some computers, also some TVs, some AV receivers, stuff like that. And you got your coax right here, which is essentially the analog form of this, right? It's not quite as good, but it's for older kind of setups and stuff. So you still have that compatibility through RCA. Now these RCAs, the left and the right, are outputs, which means that whatever gets sent to this DAC and then processed to analog gets output through here into your headphone amp or speaker amp that is then powered up and sent to the headphone or your speakers, whichever of the two you're using. Anyway, to toggle between these 3 inputs, they have this button right here, which you press, and it toggles. This light right here is USB, this is optical, and this is coax. So it will toggle between the 3 of those when you press it. What else? It has a switch right here. It's a toggle switch to turn the unit on and off. Check it out here. That's a very nice sound. And this is not USB powered. This is powered by an AC plug, a wall wart, which is this one right here. The cable's of decent length, no complaints, and this doesn't take up a whole lot of space, but you might want to get a surge protector or something so that you can connect more than 2 things to your wall at a certain location of the room. So no complaints here. It's a very nice wall wart, and it's not massive, so you don't have to deal with all this extra bulk, And overall, it's a very nice unit. Now, as far as the sound goes, it is relatively neutral. I couldn't really detect any anomalies except for the treble region. In the treble region, it gets ever so slightly bright. And I mean ever so slightly, to the point where unless you knew better, you would not know. You would not know whatsoever. And you'd be perfectly fine with it and probably consider it neutral. And that's fine because it's close to neutral. What it does to the sound is just ever so slightly that you can disregard that change and say like, yeah, I'll just ignore the change because it's such a decent price and it offers all of these options, all these inputs, and it's very popular. It's a sleek DAC and it's small. Look, it's my hand. There's my hand. It's a very good option, and I do recommend it, especially if you are on a budget. However, getting a slightly pricier DAC, and I mean slightly pricier, please don't go buying upwards of $400 DACs. Please don't. But ever so slightly pricier than 100 or 150, say like 200, getting maybe to 300 is fine. But still, this one is an excellent DAC, and for very, very, very few people, not as few, but very few people, you will not necessarily, you won't really need anything better than this. So I do recommend the Modi 2 Uber. It's a very nice DAC and pairs very well with other amps and has all these input options, and it's worked perfectly fine for me for the time that I've had it. And yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. By the way, it comes with rubber feet. It's just that I took them off because kind of getting rid of it. And then I just gave the other person a new pair of rubber feet so that they can use this on their setup and they can just like implement it from scratch and not have to worry about this thing, the feet falling or, detaching during translation, the ship.